Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our training this week. I have Jules Shapiro on. She is a mindful yoga teacher. I'm going to hand it over to her in a second, but I just want to thank everybody for being a part of this group and joining us for this live. And feel free, if you do catch us live, to get in the comments and ask. We're streaming through StreamYard, so make sure you click the link to give StreamYard permission to use your name. Otherwise, I won't be able to see your name in the comments. But we have Julie on today, and she is going to help us figure out like how we can squeeze yoga into our day and how we can use it for self-care, which is our topic this week. So I'm going to hand it over to Julie. So go ahead and just tell us a little bit about your background and what you do, and we'll get started.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Janet, for having me on. I'm Julie, or Jules, that's what my friends call me. I am a yoga teacher. I have been teaching yoga for the last 10 years. One of my goals as a yoga teacher is to make yoga accessible and to show people that you don't have to spend 90 minutes in a yoga studio to reap the benefits of a yoga practice, and that there are many different ways that you can practice yoga, and it's not about what it looks like, but rather how it makes you feel, and to really help people to get over that nervousness about stepping on a yoga mat so that they can make it part of their daily routine.
I love that. Yeah. So I took a yoga class in college and I loved it, but I didn't keep up with it. And so now, like wanting to get back into it, I kind of don't even know where to start. And I need something I can do at home because I have a bunch of kids, and it's just not possible for me to even take that time and go to a yoga studio. So I love that that's your whole thing, is like making it accessible.
Thank you. Yes. No, I have kids as well. I have two daughters, and I have found that having a home practice is much more conducive, even if they're climbing all over me and sliding down my legs in downward facing dog and, sitting in my lap, but I'm just trying to finish my practice. Um, it's been one of those things where having that practice, even if they're around me, has just helped to really ground me and bring me to a place where I'm more present, especially with them.
So what is your like first tip for using yoga for self-care?
One of my first tips would be to let go of expectations. I think that we are so programmed by what we see in the media, online, Instagram, Facebook, these beautiful images of men and women doing these amazing yoga poses, and we just get scared that we can't do that. So we stop ourselves from even trying. So letting go of an expectation that your practice has to look like something in particular. What I'd like to do, if it's okay, is a quick grounding practice that this is considered yoga. And it's something that will probably take you all of about 2 minutes. So if it's okay, can we do a quick
Yeah,
grounding
absolutely.
practice? All right, excellent. So what I'd like you to do is, if you are comfortable, have a seat. If you're sitting in a chair or on a couch like I am, make sure your feet are flat on the floor so that you feel the earth underneath you. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and let the eyes fall closed. And bring the hands to the heart, placing one hand on top of the other. Take the next few moments to scan your body. Notice what you're feeling. For instance, in my body right now, I am feeling a little jittery, but I'm not going to judge it. I'm just going to observe it. I'm going to bring my focus and attention to the beating of my heart. And the conscious awareness to my breath. Our breath is one of our most powerful tools. It's one of the systems in our body that we have control over. Notice your natural inhalations and exhalations. Notice how your body responds to the breath. For instance, here, I can feel my heart rate slowing. I can feel some of the jitteriness disappearing. And then slowly remove the hands from the heart, placing them on the knees or thighs for grounding. Take a deep breath in. Feel the cool, fresh air coming into the body. And as you exhale, let go of anything that's not going to serve you for the day. Bring your hands together, rubbing them, bringing a little heat and warmth to the palms. And then place them over your eyes. Feel the warmth from the hands, releasing into the eyes. Move it along the forehead and temples. And then slowly move the hands away, letting the eyes open slowly. I hope you feel grounded, and I hope you enjoyed that practice. It's one of the ones that I like to do when I'm very short on time. And it's something that I like to do when, after I get the kids to bed. It's one of those things that I sit down and I just like to let go of the day. And it's a nice way to practice self-care. And it's not anything that takes a lot of time, but it's just enough to give back to yourself.
I love that. Yeah, that's great. I mean, and even as a busy mom, we should have 1 or 2 minutes to ourselves, right?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. Yes.
That's so important. So do you have other tips for us for, yoga for self-care or things that we can do at home, just trying to work it into busy schedules?
Sure. So the grounding practice that we just did is a great way to be able to squeeze that into busy schedules. You can also, yoga has many different styles. So, if you don't have time to do a 90-minute power class, or that's not in your repertoire right now, maybe a 5-minute restorative practice where you pick one pose, you get some pillows, you get some blankets, you get yourself nice and propped up, and you relax yourself out. I like to do my soles of my feet together with blankets underneath my knees, where my knees open out, and then I put roll a towel behind my back, and just roll back, put a little block behind my head. It's 5 minutes, just sitting there and breathing.
I need to try that.
It's so great. I also like to do that, and it's hard. I'm kind of giving pose names, and it's hard to picture if you're able to understand them, or if you're not. If you're new to yoga, for me to say, "Oh, just go into child's pose," I know it can be a little bit overwhelming. So, but yeah, I like to do something like that where the soles of my feet are together, my knees are open out, I'm opening up my hips, I'm releasing stress, I'm letting go of tension, my heart is open, it's ready to receive. And for a restorative practice, you can stay there for 5 to 20 minutes if you'd like. Or if you're like me, who needs to be going to get rid of some energy, I like to do some sun salutations. It's let's see.
I can't remember all the poses, but that's one that we did a lot.
Yeah, so I'll run through the sun salutation A. It's mountain pose, upward salute,
Mm-hmm.
forward fold, halfway lift, back to forward fold, rise to stand, upward salute, standing back into mountain pose. And you run through that like 3, 4, 5 times, and
Mm-hmm.
it gets your heart rate up. It gets everything going. It takes probably 3 to 5 minutes. And then if you have the extra time, you can just lay on the mat and rest in Shavasana. You're getting your heart rate up. You are building cardiovascular strength. You are releasing stress. And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. It can be very short.
That's awesome. Yeah, I definitely need to get back into that. My sister's much better than I am. I know she says she's doing yoga a couple times a week, and then she has a friend that actually does yoga like several times a day. And I don't know if she's in our group yet. We need to get her added. But yeah, I know we have all different levels in this group of where people are at with yoga. But I love what you're sharing. That's so awesome. So do you have any other tips for us, or suggestions, or and make sure to let everybody know how they can connect with you too.
Okay. Yes. So, one of the things I like to think about when I'm doing and sharing yoga is that there's more to yoga than just the poses. And you go a little bit deeper and you find out that yoga has all these limbs. And two of the limbs that I like to refer to, especially as a mom and as a busy entrepreneur and a yoga teacher, especially as a yoga teacher, because I think I have to take my own advice. But I like to be able to share the first two limbs. So there's 8 limbs of yoga, and the first limb is the yamas, and the second limb is the niyamas. They are ethical and moral guidelines, and they're a great way to practice yoga without even having to step a foot on a yoga mat, but just to become more conscious. So the yamas, there's 5 of them, and they are ahimsa, which is non-violence, non-harm; satya, which is truthfulness; asteya, which is non-stealing; brahmacharya, moderation; and aparigraha, which is non-greed. And then the niyamas, there's also 5. There's saucha, cleanliness; santosha, contentment; tapas, discipline; svatyaya, self-study; and Ishvara Pradinhana, which is surrender to a higher power. And so just really quickly, I can kind of go through a few of these to show you how you can use yoga in your everyday life without even really, you can always apply these to your practice on the mat. And I think that's what makes yoga so powerful, is that you take these principles and then you can apply it on the mat. And what you'll start to notice is that your yoga mat becomes a mirror. And the way you react to the things on the yoga mat tend to be how you react to things in your life. And you start to become more mindful and more aware of that. And when you become more mindful and aware of it, you start to take a step back and reanalyze how you're going about and reacting to things just in your everyday life. So for the to start with the yamas, again, ahimsa, way you can practice that is just by how you talk to yourself. What do you say to yourself even first thing in the morning? Oh my God. Or do you tell yourself, this is going to be an amazing day? I'm going to do some really great things. Truthfulness, taking a look at how things are going in your life, being able to reflect on, am I putting too much on my plate right now? Do I need to take a step back? Being honest with yourself. Non-stealing can be something as simple as, do you allow people to take from you? Do you set boundaries? Do you not set boundaries? Do you let people override your boundaries? It can be something as simple as stealing time. Do you allow your worries and your fears to stop you? Do you let them steal your joy? That kind of thing. So just being more mindful and aware of that. Then there's moderation. And this is all about finding that work-life balance. And I know balance is, I always talk about how balance is not something that you find, but something that you create. And so, you might have to let go of some things, right? You might have to say no to something so that you can say yes to something else and find a way to be able to create what works for you. What works for me might not necessarily work for you, and vice versa, but that doesn't mean that it's unbalanced. It works for you, it works for me, and that's our balance. Aparigraha, the last yama or ethical guideline, is non-greed, and that can be something as finding joy in what you have rather than always trying to strive or wish that you had more. What if you just took a moment and was like, wow, like I'm really grateful for everything that I have right now. So applying some of those ethical guidelines to your life is a great way to be able to apply yoga into your everyday life. And the same with the niyamas, the second limb, which is all about self-discipline. And saucha, which is the first one, is about cleanliness. And I do it all the time. Like, oh God, I gotta clean. Oh, these kids are making a mess. But when I take that time to just clear the clutter and just put things away, in a way, it almost becomes for me very meditative, so that when I look down there, granted, I know in about 5 minutes it's going to be a complete disaster again, but for that 5 minutes, I had the satisfaction of knowing that I had a clean, open space, and I felt really good about it.
Yeah, I've noticed, like, honestly, that's one of my tips with my kids when their like behavior is not great, or I feel like they're too like all over me. Sometimes I just need to go and pick up their toys so that they're reset. My kids are 4 and 5, or two of them, and they're, for them, sometimes we just need to pick up their room and they have a clean slate, and then they're able to just like re-engage with what they have. And it does like a whole reset in our house. Sometimes something so simple as just picking up the toys from the floor.
Yes. Yes. And so rather than looking at it as a chore, looking at it as a way to bring some peace and some contentment into your life, which is actually the second one, is santosha, is contentment. And, again, kind of like the aparigraha and, being appreciative of what you have, this is about celebrating what you've done and your achievements, and looking maybe at the end of the day, just taking a few minutes and being like, wow, like I really did a lot today. And congratulate yourself for that, for showing up as a mom, for being there for your kids, for everything that you do, and acknowledging the successes that you had during the day. And it could be something as simple as, I helped my kid not have a total meltdown over, the fact that I put macaroni and cheese on their plate and they wanted soup. You know what I mean? Like something so simple, but you were able to step in and you handled it, and you handled it well. And so that is, it's a way to help boost your self-esteem and also, feel good about what you do on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's so helpful. Like a lot of times I'll find like my husband will get home from work and it's a lot easier for me to run through the list of things that I didn't get done for the day. And he's like, that's not important. Like like what did you get done? I know you got a lot done. And so he like helps me flip my mindset, and then I'll go through the list of the things that I did get done, and just even shifting towards, what I did do and what is positive, like it is so helpful for my mindset.
And that's yoga. And I think we forget about that because, again, we see yoga's here in the West, at least that I'm aware of. Yoga is very physically pushed, and I think that we have to remember that there's also a mindset and a lifestyle component to yoga. And so, yeah, you're practicing yoga and you
That
Probably
is so
didn't even
funny.
realize it.
Yeah, no, and like, and I love that you're talking about mindfulness because that helps so much. And that helps, like, my son is really difficult. He's 5 and he's extremely defiant. He's still throwing fits and, it's just difficult. But being mindful really helps me slow down in those situations so that, like, I'm not raising the temperature of my house. I'm not like getting too upset. I'm able to help him work through his frustrations and stuff like that. So even just like being mindful and taking that step back, it is so helpful.
It is. It really is very helpful. I've even, just as you are, I can completely understand and relate to that as well. Absolutely. Well, there's three more. If I can give three more
Yeah, go ahead.
tips, if that's okay.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. So the next one, and this is interesting because you had mentioned discipline. It's tapas, which is discipline, and it's about having a daily, consistent routine, uh, setting boundaries, disciplining yourself to say no when it's necessary, but also in the same respect, not beating yourself up for um, not following through the same
Hmm.
time. You know what I mean? So like you're like, oh, I didn't do yoga today. I'm so undisciplined. Well, no, let's take a step back and see what some of the things you've taken care of your kids. You took some time, maybe you took some time for yourself. You have a clean home or just a clean space, even like I said, if it's only for 5 minutes. Um, so you have done your yoga practice. It just doesn't look like a traditional 90-minute yoga class, but you have. So you are disciplined. You do have a schedule or a way to be mindful, and that's part of your routine. So tapas is discipline, and next is self-study. So just taking that time to reflect on your goals, on the things that you want to achieve, what you'd like to be able to, how you would like to see yourself, um, what you would like to see yourself become. It's about investing a little bit of time in yourself and feeling okay about that and not stressing out that, oh my gosh, I'm taking 2 minutes for myself. I'm so selfish. It isn't. It's very important because very cliche, you can't fill or you can't serve from an empty cup. If you have nothing to give, then you can't help. You can't be who you want others. Um, you can't do for others what you would like to be able to if you're not taking care of yourself.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's actually why I started this group because I see a lot of moms out there. I'm in a lot of moms groups, and a lot of moms struggle with that. Like they are just allowing people, their family, their kids, their jobs, whatever it is that's going on in life, just continue to pull from them. And they're really not stopping to like fill themselves back up and, have those tools and understand like self care. And, that's why I picked this topic this month. I just feel like it's really important. Hi, baby.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's self-study. You have to really take a moment and look at everything in your life and being willing to take a look at yourself in a truthful satya way and know that you will be better when you take care of yourself and being
Hmm.
willing to accept and acknowledge that. And the last one, this one is a little bit, this I want to make broad because it's one of those things that everybody is different. So I do not want to make it exclusive, but it's about surrendering to a higher power. And it's just really what it breaks itself down to is releasing control. Like we can't control every single aspect of our life. We cannot control the things that are going on outside of us. The only thing we have control over is ourselves. And sometimes we just have to acknowledge that, take a deep breath, and it'll be what it'll be.
Hmm. that relieves so much stress. I know, like, for me, I want to control everything, so that's something I have to really work on all the time, and just understanding that, like, no, I don't have control over everything and I need to just let it go. I all I can focus on is what I'm putting out, like how I'm acting or reacting in situations, and not everything is going to be perfect.
Mhm. Exactly. Yes, absolutely. And so that's really what I wanted to be able to share today, and to share with people that whether you know it or not, you're doing yoga every day. If you are applying many of these principles, if you're doing these things, then you're already practicing yoga. And in terms of the physical practice, it doesn't have to be crazy. You can start very slow. I love to share uh, yoga poses that you can do in the morning. Like, I like child's pose and seated side bends, and just some light cat and cow to warm up the body and to prepare yourself to take on the day. My one daughter still likes to be held, and she's about 60 pounds. And I'm so grateful for cat and cow, because after I get her onto the bus, I'm like, oh, that feels so good. And that's maybe if that's my yoga practice for the day, that's my yoga practice for the day. But it's taking that time though. And at night, after the kids have gone to bed, if you like stretches, some easy, I'm trying to think of some gentle twists to ring out the day, things like that. That's all yoga. And if that's where you start, that's okay, and be okay with that. And then eventually maybe you um, jump on YouTube, or you're more than welcome to come join my group, or um, maybe you could start to look for the more physical side of the practice as you get more comfortable with knowing how you feel in your body.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what's the name of your group so we can find it?
The name of my group is Yoga Inspired Living with Jules Shapiro, and I can send you a link for that, I think.
Yes. Yeah, I'll make sure that you're added to the group, and then you can just put it in the comments of this video so that people can find your group.
Perfect. Yes, that would be
But that is
wonderful.
awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. This is really great information. Like, I loved hearing how many different aspects of our lives and our day really can be considered yoga practice. And it's not just the physical poses. It was a good refresher. Just I did learn a lot of that. It was like good reminders, from college. But yeah, I just absolutely love that. And taking a few moments to yourself throughout the day just to shift your mindset or ground yourself, like, what a great practice. That's really going to help with stress and everything else that we deal with.
Yes, absolutely. I think it definitely just helps, especially being a mom, and giving you perspective and realizing that you're doing a lot better than maybe you think you're doing.
Absolutely, that is so awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to end our broadcast, but we will make sure that we get the link to Jules's group into the comments. But thank you all so much for joining us, and we'll
Thank
see you
you.
again next time.
Yes, thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.